They claim on their website that 94% of shooters improved after using Mantis X for 20 minutes. How much of an improvement? 95%, 10%, 0.01%? I don't know. I also had a big concern about the effectiveness of this type of practice, which is the lack of recoil. Either it's going to work or it's going to be a total dud. This is why we test things out, right? A little bit about me. I'm not a good shooter. On top of that, the last time I shot a weapon was about a year ago. I ordered my Mantis X3 and while waiting for it to arrive, I went to the range to establish a baseline. I use a 100-yard rifle target like this because I like the grid. I also chose a 9 feet distance because some sources are saying the deadliest gunfights happen within 10 feet. I know it's best to be ready for any distance, but for the sake of simplicity, I chose 9 feet for this experiment. I did 2 types of tests. For the first one, I did a batch of shots, each drawing from the holster. Here's the result. The shots are pretty scattered, so I'd like to contain this cluster within the second outer diamond next time. The second batch on the other hand were just me emptying up my magazine. There's definitely room for improvement here. Afterwards, I went home, set up some targets in my garage, and waited for the unit to arrive. 2 days later, thanks to Amazon Prime, I got my Mantis X3. I was bummed because the device couldn't be attached to my firearm. It doesn't have the required railing. Note to self, always check before buying. I found this page that tells you if your firearm is compatible with the Mantis X3. I'll leave a link in the comment section if you need it. Even though my firearm doesn't have railing on it, Mantis has a workaround via a magazine floor adapter. So I bought it and waited for a few more days. When it finally arrived, I found it easy to install. I first took the base plate off the magazine, replaced it with the adapter, and then slid the Mantis X3 into the adapter. I turned the device on, connected it to the app, and started practicing. I wanted to maximize my results by using some of the learning hacks I've learned from scientific literature, specifically using variance. In a nutshell, you don't want to be doing the same thing over and over again when practicing. Here's why. When you get good at something, your brain stops being on its toes. That's when learning slows down. So you gotta mix things up to keep your brain guessing. You'll feel a little bit stressed because you'll be making errors, but the stress signals your brain to change for the better. In my case, I didn't just practice shooting 9 feet away from my target. I shot closer, farther, from multiple angles, from a sitting position, a kneeling position, in my car, in the kitchen, living room, with 2 hands, with 1 hand, stationary, and moving. On top of that, Mantis has these awesome drills. Some are basic like the open training, but there are some interesting ones like the hostage rescue drills. The best part is getting feedback. It's like having your own personal coach that shows you your mistakes and tells you how to fix them. Now, because of the dangerous nature of this experiment, I decided to use this firearm strictly for dry firing during the duration of my test. The last thing I wanted was to accidentally discharge my gun thinking there was no ammo in the chamber. This was especially true on days when I practiced first thing in the morning when I was still groggy. I still treated my gun like it was loaded, but using it just for dry firing during my experiment was another added layer of security for safety. The only gripe I had with this device is that there were times when it wasn't registering the shots. The problem showed up more during the hostage rescue drills. I sent Mantis a message about it, so hopefully they'll solve this problem for me soon. After 600 shots in about a week of practice, I went back to the range to see how much I have improved, if I've improved at all. Here are the results. This is before Mantis X, and this is after Mantis X. For the shots where I emptied my magazine, the cluster is small with the exception of this one lone shot. This is actually the last shot from this batch of ammo. I just got too excited because my first 7 shots were tight, but I ended up getting carried away with the last shot. I'm still happy with the result though. Overall, I had a great experience during this experiment. I was able to improve with 600 dry fire shots using the Mantis X3. That would have cost me roughly $300 if I used live ammo. That's not even including about $100 of range time for multiple days. I also learned some things I wasn't expecting to learn when I started this experiment. I got to be really familiar with my firearm. I learned the reasons for not hitting a target, and most importantly, I got faster drawing from my holster, which is super important. I wanted to shoot over 1,000 shots with the X3 for this experiment since the shots are free, but there's such a thing as diminishing returns and skill development. In my case, I hit a ceiling. My scores got to the 80s and 90s and I took it as far as I could go, and there was no point in practicing anymore. Otherwise, I'm fine with that. And that is it for this video. I started this channel to do experiments like these, so if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.